Welcome to the special FIFA World Cup show brought to you by Dafanews. And the big story of the day is strong rumors swirling around football circles that France could bring out a secret weapon. Yes, against Argentina in a final of the World Cup. A secret weapon without a parallel in the modern game. One man who could possibly change the outcome of any game and cement his status alongside Messi, Ronaldo as a true god of modern football. Yes, we are talking about a player of the year, Real Madrid's hitman, Karim Benzema. As the Frenchman have certainly looked at coming into the squad after nursing his injury. Well, players have suggested that Benzema has regained his fitness and the Real Madrid has given him permission to play the final should France need him to. While the manager, Deschamps, has outrightly refused to address the matter, football fans are buzzing with the possibility of seeing last season's Player of the Year in action in the biggest possible stage in the World Cup football. While Argentina might be praying that the rumors are not really true, while France pull out its biggest gun for the biggest game off the center stage in the modern sport. And will Argentina, led by their own godlike talisman, Leo Messi, be able to counter the immense threat of Benzema? We have with us two of the very special guests to discuss on this topic, on FIFA World Cup and host of other issues, including the coaches of hiring and firing. Welcome to the show, Ranjit Bajaj, the owner of Minerva Academy, and William Joel, the ISL commentator and an astute mind behind and the voice behind the mic. Well, we'll start off with Ranjit Bajaj. Ranjit, Benzema, is this the biggest news of the day in the last 12 hours that's been making news?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. And NewsX always is in the forefront of all discussions because this news just came out yesterday night and you're already doing a show on it. So brilliant. See, guys, I think Benzema comes back, it's a different ballgame because earlier it might have been anyway because you had Messi on the other side, great players of France as well. With the kind of record Benzema has this year, he's unstoppable. I would call him the best player on the planet this year. He scored over 45 or 44 goals in 47 matches. He's been the player of the tournament in the La Liga and the UCL and also scoring, like you put up the graphics, the scoring hat-tricks against PSG, hat-trick and doubles against Man City. I mean, something which the guy hasn't done this year is nothing, because if you put him on the field, he scores. And he scores 2 to 3 goals every single time. And that's why he got the Ballon d'Or. I mean, he beat Messi and Ronaldo in winning the best player of FIFA's best player of the world, the Ballon d'Or award. So I think with this, if this actually happens, it's a great boon for France. But I doubt it. Why do I doubt it? Because it's a risk. If he comes back, plays, and he's not able to perform, and then you waste one place. But it's a calculated risk. So it'll be very, very interesting to watch if Karim does come back.
Well, that's a good point you've said. It's a calculated risk. Let's take a step back, include my another guest. Well, Mr. Joel, what do you think about this entire calculation behind this, perhaps a rumor, perhaps a reality, we don't know as yet. But do you think a player who hasn't played in the entire tournament, is he match fit mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Okay, firstly, I don't understand the big boom that's been generating around this, because at the end of the day, Benzema is nowhere near the level of Messi or Ronaldo and will never ever be at the same level of Messi or Ronaldo. He's a player that you can compare maybe to the likes of Robert Lewandowski and so forth. They're not at the same level. So comparing one to the other is like comparing chalk and cheese. You cannot do that. Okay, that's first.
Well,
okay?
that's a Messi fan, eternal Messi fan talking.
No. It's just a fact. He's
a Ballon d'Or. Is this year's Ballon d'Or winner?
Yes, and Robert Lewandowski did not win the Ballon d'Or last season when he deserved it. The Ballon d'Or is overrated, I believe, because people that don't deserve it win it, and people that deserve it don't win it. So there you go. That's another subject for another matter. But no, I'm not an eternal Messi fan. I'm just a football fan. Benzema is great goal scorer, but you can compare him to Lewandowski. You can never compare him to Ronaldo or Messi, But coming back to the original question, you said whether a player like this is a calculated risk and so forth. I think that it would be a big disrespect to France's all-time ever leading goal scorer, Giroud, if Benzema comes in and starts playing ahead of him, because Giroud has been carrying the whole team on his back, whilst Benzema has been nursing an injury for the past month and a half, 2 months. And I think it would be thoroughly unfair on Olivier Giroud, which, let's not forget, it's not Benzema all-time goal scorer. It's not Griezmann. It's not Mbappe yet. It's Olivier Giroud, the all-time goal scorer above Henry, above all the other players. So put some respect on that person's name, because it's not Benzema scoring the goals in the World Cup. It's Olivier Giroud. It's Mbappe. It's not Benzema. So if Giroud does not play the final, if I were Giroud, I would retire after the game if he doesn't play the final, because it would be a huge disrespect for him.
Interesting point. You've made an interesting point that you've got to give respect to the person who's been scoring and who's been there throughout. Considering that Giroud did not even score a single goal in the previous World Cup, the entire World Cup. But take a step back. That's all right. Just take a step back and say, where did this rumor perhaps or a possibility emerge? Is this something to do with the fact that he scored a hat-trick against PSG? You never know. What is the reason for this, William?
Okay, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. Benzema is quality. Benzema is one of the greatest strikers of the past year, of the past 5 years, maybe. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not, a Messi fan or a Ronaldo fan. I'm not deluded. I speak facts. I'm a football fan above all.
So are we.
Benzema, you have to admire his quality. But coming in from the cold after a month and a half of an injury, with one game as a friendly against Leganés in the past week only, are you ready for the biggest game of your life against an Argentina team that is going to be canchero? Canchero means in Spanish is going to give you war, is going to be kicking you, is going to be fighting, is going to be, punching, the dark arts. Argentina are famous for this kind of football. Are you going to be ready for that? So are you going to take a risk with a player who's just come back from injury, or are you going to give the tried and tested player this World Cup? I'm not talking about the last World Cup, because if we talk about the last World Cup, then we can talk about so many different things. This World Cup, who's one of the best goal scorers is Giroud and Mbappe. Who are the two enforcers in France? Giroud and Mbappe. So are you going to take that
William,
risk?
I've got to hold you there. I've got to hold you there and go back to Ranjit. Ranjit, the possible question right now is, what is the seed for this particular discussion, and where did it all come from? Is it just a flanking situation where you just digress the opposition by showing your biggest player coming back, or it is a real fact, whatever? Your views on it.
I would say it can be part of Didier Deschamps' mind games, because if I was the opposition coach or the analyst team, if Joel me or the other night, I mean, I would get sleepless nights thinking that, I have to prepare for Benzema as well. Because if Karim Benzema is playing, there's a different kind of man marking or a block required, especially focusing on his runs, because he is just brilliant. He makes space between the midfield and between the midfield and defensive lines, like Griezmann used to do, and then Griezmann going up. If Griezmann is playing there and Karim Benzema is playing there, you'll expect the ball either to be coming to Benzema or to Giroud or to Mbappe. See, when Joel was saying that Giroud might be missing out, I don't think Giroud will go out. I don't think they can ever do that. I might think that he might be on the bench then, Benzema, if he wants to come on, not just a starter, if he has to start. Because how would you tell Randall Muoni, who scored the second fastest goal as a substitute in the history of the World Cup, now you can't play, bro. You scored in 40 seconds.
Come back to the original question. Hold on. The original question is, where did this name emerge?
I think it's mind games. I really think that...
Is it a deliberate leak by the French camp?
Yes, definitely. I think it's a deliberate leak. I would have done the same. I'm bringing my best player back to thrash you guys. He's the Ballon d'Or winner, and also he scored hat tricks against PSG and Chelsea, and he scored a brace against Man City, so he's going to smash you. So at least something to think about. But I would say I would agree with Joel. I mean, as a coach, I would like to go with my tried and tested players, especially in this big match. But always have him on the bench if I can. If I can, I would like to have him on the bench.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You know, the coaches, especially the former players who played at the highest level, know a thing or two about the mind games. How important is it, the mind games before a match, Ranjit?
Oh, very important. Especially like he just said, that it's the biggest game of their lives, biggest football game in on the planet. And you'll have over 1 billion people watching it. So the mind games are so important, and they started playing it after the semi-finals. You saw both the coaches. They were talking about how they're not looking at the opposition and they're focusing on their own thing. But that's not true. You are looking at the opposition and you're studying their every move, and you're studying every word which comes out of the mouth of the opposition coach. So I really think there is mind games, and these games really are very important, because if you do this and you put this in the mix, I guarantee you at least 4 analysts will spend 4 hours of their times thinking about this and coming up with solutions that maybe if Benzema comes, what are the permutation combinations we'll have to do, and who will be marking him in the set pieces, who will be going in man marking him, or who, if it's not man marking, who will be looking after him and blocking his passes off. So all these things would have had to be decided, and you spend time. How much time do you have? You have 2-3 days to prepare for the World Cup final. So even if you take 2%, 1%, 5% of the analyst's time thinking about this new problem, it's 1% gained over that. And it's a game, Yash, it's a game of fine margins. Fine margins decide these kind of games.
Absolutely, fine margins. We also have another team. So it clears the theory that the game is not won and lost by just the players themselves, but also the coach, the bench, and the support staff that is thinking and outthinking and outfighting their opponents. We'll take to another interesting piece of news that emerged last night. I'm going to quote Fabrizio Romano here. Official statement confirms Fernando Santos has parted ways with Portugal and he's no longer the national team head coach. That means that Portugal has another coach, and this time they have an opening for someone called Jose Mourinho. Do you think the wily old fox can make a comeback, considering he still has a long contract with AS Roma? Your views, Ranjit?
There's one thing which is left of Jose Mourinho's cabinet is coaching the national team. And he's always been talking in his, interviews that I would love to be coaching my Portugal national team. He's been making those comments because he wants that job. Now, he's had a good season with Roma, and I don't think he would actually just get up and leave until and unless he's given a long-term contract by the Portugal team. Because if that, or he has some kind of a contract like Erik Ten Hag has with Man U, that he can go and do both. But I don't think that will be possible, because I don't think Roma will be willing to leave him after what kind of season he's given him. But as Jose Mourinho, as a coach for Portugal, personally speaking, I don't want Portugal to start parking the bus and playing counter-attacking football.
Absolutely, well said. Again, an Arsenal fan speaking about an ex-Manchester United coach. But we'll take a step back. We'll take a step back and focus ourselves on Karim Benzema. Joel, you made a very interesting point, saying that Karim Benzema, if he was to come and start in the lineup, it'll be a big disrespect for Giroud. That means that there are certain permutation combination that the team will have to do. Your views on it personally, considering if both have to play?
Okay, let me just start off by saying that the last World Cup that France won, Benzema was nowhere near the team.
Yes.
He was banned. Okay, so France don't need Benzema to win a World Cup. It's already proven. Okay, so once again, all this, Benzema, it's all like, as Ranjit said, mind games by Deschamps. If he comes back, I'm 100% sure he won't be starting. He will be on the bench. It's
a hypothetical situation. Let's consider it as a hypothetical and just throw our thoughts onto it.
Okay, so I believe that, for example, if the two of them have to play, it will disrupt the whole flow of France, because France don't play with two main strikers up front. France play with only one.
Yes.
You know, so it disrupts the whole flow. Griezmann then has to shift position. Mbappe has to shift. Dembele has to shift. They cannot play with two. It's not the way that France play. It's not possible. So if they do change their tactics just to accommodate Benzema, it's going to be a grave mistake by Didier Deschamps. And I don't think he's that stupid enough to commit that mistake. And I don't think he's that dumb enough to A, disrespect Giroud, and B, make that mistake in a World Cup final. I think he will be cautioned. You know, he will be precautionary about this. Hypothetically, Eke, I just cannot see it happening because they have to change the whole system. And in a final, before you reach a World Cup final, you can try in the group stages. The first game, maybe, like Argentina did with Saudi Arabia, you can maybe lose that game. Or France against Tunisia, you can lose that game. No problem, cool. But in a final, doing that, that's crazy. You don't do that.
Well, 30 seconds. Keep a hand on your heart. Do you think he'll play or not?
No, I don't think he'll play.
Who will stop Messi?
Who will stop Messi? No one stops Messi.
Absolutely. There we go. That was the point we were trying to make. That was an eternal Messi fan talking about the greatness of the man. Of course, nothing taken away from it. But William Joel, again, thank you very much for your time. Ranjit Bajaj, the Arsenal fan, talking about how the tactics and the mind work of a coach happens inside the game, before the game, and around it. Thank you. That's all we had time for. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back after a short commercial break. Don't go anywhere else.